And
Bring her on.
Frank, can you elevate?
She can talk, I think. Joanna?
Hi,
Joanna?
it's not she, it's he. I'm
Okay.
Kyle. This is Joanna's husband, Kyle Johnson.
Oh, happens
Hi,
all the
welcome.
time. Welcome.
I know it does, right? And I'd be happy to be mistaken for her. So it's fine.
All right, welcome. What can we do for you?
Yeah, no, so well, I'm not sure. But I would like to find out. Can you hear me?
Yes, go right
Okay,
ahead.
cool. All right, great. Yeah, so I think the project's begun here at Lynch. I live across the street from Lynch. We're the house closest to the project. And I think it brought to our attention the fact that we probably are a little less involved or feel less able to be involved in the project's course than we would like. And then I think probably any abutter would want. So I guess I kind of wanted to bring to the committee to express that concern and to kind of use the start of the project to just illustrate the point and to see what we should do next or what we can do or what you all can do for us. So the project has begun with the clearing of some trees where we knew from the project design a parking lot will go. This is kind of at the intersection of Pond Street and Brentwood. And I think the clearing of the space, not only was the clearing of the space more dramatic than we expected, I think we gotten some indication that there'd be maybe more trees on the margin left, but would sort of happen kind of before we felt like we fully had a chance to provide any suggestions about how things might look at the end of this, and I know that the project may not be perhaps at a point where that decision's going to be made, but it's not clear to us how we're possibly going to be involved in helping shape how the neighborhood looks. And I think that the committee would probably understand why we would want that, and you would want it where you live. Yeah, so I mean, like if I even make it that concrete, like, hey, at the end of this, I sure do hope we have some substantial foliage of some kind along that street that once was just a stand of tall mature trees. How do you all accommodate that wish on our part? Like, how does that go? And I you may feel like I'm asking a question that's already been answered and that you've already given us some avenues, but again, like the way that it's already going, it feels like it's happening and we're just watching.
Right. Chris, you want to take a stab at this?
Well,
Working on it the most.
sure. I mean, so Mr. Alexander, I thank you for joining us and for your thoughtful remarks. The chair and I and some other members of the committee have some thoughts on this that we wanted to share tonight. So this is actually on our agenda. I think we'll get to it pretty quickly tonight. We have some introductions to make with the general contractor and review the project scope and budget summary before we get there. And I don't want to steal time from other members who may have thoughts, but I think what I would offer is that I personally, I was quite surprised, frustrated, and disappointed at the extent of clearing on that site. I'm a member of the committee, so I knew it was happening. So we all have an advantage towards that. But as the member who went in front of town meeting and specifically showed images of the trees that we were going to save, I'm actually embarrassed now that they're gone. There are some reasons why that happened. There were some communications, as I understand now, after the fact with an abutter. But that didn't all come back to this committee or to the superintendent or to the school committee. I think some of the trees that came down were it was well intentioned that they come down. But I don't think that conversation involved all the people that it should have. Having said that, knowing what I think I understand today, I don't know that the outcome would have really changed, but we certainly would have been in a better position to understand it as a committee and engage with you, Mr. Alexander, and other abutters. We've had some preliminary offline conversations with our architect, and we'll talk more about this tonight. there is absolutely a need for us to go back and rethink the landscape plan on the side of the site that's closest to you. And that will involve looking at some mature plantings, as we get further along into the project, and we will need to think about deciduous versus evergreen and
Right.
height, high story, low story, density. Jay in particular has shared with me his concern that, there's going to be lights under those solar canopies. So, we don't want those lights to be shining into everybody's bedrooms and dining rooms at night, or headlights, right? So
Yeah, sure.
I
Thanks.
think as this moves along, I can't speak for the whole committee, but I know that several of us on this committee feel very strongly we want to make this right and be very thoughtful about what we can do to make it right. And I don't know if Charlie should speak to it now or maybe later when we get to it on the agenda, but I think our architect in particular would also like to better understand, as the parking lot takes shape, and we have better sense of the canopy design and so forth, what may be necessary, in terms of landscape. But there's a commitment to do that and to reach out to the abutters in a formal way. Is that fair, Jay?
Yes, yes. And Don also has a question on this also, or comment.
Yeah, I just want to add, Mr. Alexander, we meet biweekly and meetings are posted, and you're welcome to listen in, participate in the meetings we have. And we really appreciate the abutters input in a project like this. We want it to be successful, all the way around for everybody, because you have to live with it from here on out once the project is done. So I would encourage you to stay involved and attend the meetings that we have, as long as you can here, and we'll take your input and very seriously. And as Chris has just said, we'll deal with these issues. It just may be down the road a little bit, and we can let you know when you should be listening in or participating in on the meetings. That's it pretty much, Jay.
Okay, thank you, Don.
And we will talk about this more as we get into the meeting, because I think others had some thoughts they wanted to share as well.
Yeah.
Jay, so as we've been talking, there are some other folks here from the public: Neil Foley, Elaine Faber. So if those folks missed it earlier, if you have anything you want to say for public comment, you're welcome to do so. We just ask that you raise your digital hand so the superintendent can elevate you. You don't have to say anything. If you're just here to watch, that's fine too, but we want to give you that opportunity. No raised hands, Jay.
All right. Well, please stay on if you want, and we're going to move on along with our agenda. Next, we have the meeting minutes from December 4th. Don, are those ready now with the edits, or you think?
Jay, I printed a copy and I don't see what you commented about.
Oh, how many pages are in your print?
6. Let me grab it. Hang on.
Okay, because the one that comes out has 9.
No.
So,
It came out, it did that to me, Jay, on my iPhone, but when I opened it on my computer, it opened okay. It was weird.
okay. So I had a second agenda added to it on when I opened it. So it ended on page 6, and then it started again with another body.
No,
Okay.
I mean, I printed 6 pages.
Okay, so we're good then, Don. When you
Okay.
look at it one way, there was an additional 3 pages added to it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
does
Sorry
anyone
about
else have
that.
any?
That happened on my iPhone too, but I opened it up shortly before the meeting and it looked okay on my computer, and the content looked good too.
Yeah.
And thank you, Frida, for doing such a good job pulling, all together in the minutes. I really appreciate it. It made my job easy.
And Don, did you get my corrections?
No, I did not. So I'll have to, we'll look for those and get them incorporated.
Okay, I mean, it's just a minor, my name was absent from the vote to
Okay.
the previous November meeting minutes.
Oh, the December 4th. Okay, this,
I did that.
all right, we'll get you in there.
So Jay, would you welcome a motion to approve the December 4th minutes as amended and including some minor edits coming forward from Richard to Don? Would that be okay?
Yes. Yes.
All right, so moved.
Can I get a second?
Second,
All right. We'll go with Brian on that. All right, roll call, Frank,
Aye.
and Lisa is not here. Brian is, Todd,
I was absent, so I abstained.
okay. Geetha,
Aye. Aye.
John,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
and Mark,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
and Emily.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, meetings are all set with the edits.
Good.
Gonna move on to the Lynch. Gonna get busy right now. So Hill's gonna take this with an introduction to the general contractor. Is that gonna be Vivian or Mark?
Mm, sure.
Andy,
Andy will do this one.
all
But,
right.
I wanted to say thank you and Happy New Year to everybody. We're excited as this project moves along and kicks off into the construction phase. And Andy, if you want to go through and introduce the team.
Actually, let me just go over the budget real quick and then I will turn it over to Ray. Let's go with what we have on the agenda.
Sure.
So where we are right now on this dashboard, as you remember, last month on December 4th, we awarded the contract to Bright Builder, the general contractor on the project, and also UTS as the third-party testing agent. So we had a kickoff meeting in December with Bright, and also they already mobilized on site, install the fence, the Concom requirement, the silk fence, and then they started the abatement last week. And some of the milestone that I want to go over this committee is right now we're targeting to finish the foundation at the end of March. We're going to be targeting to finish the abatement and the demolition of the existing Lynch School at the end of February. And also we're targeting to get steel delivery the first week, I mean, not the first week, March 24. That's the date that we have right now, and complete the steel installation around the first week of May. That's where we are. Those are the major milestones that we're concentrating right now. And also we're waiting for Bright Builder for the full baseline schedule. We should get it this week. And then once we have that, we'll plug in more like the entire envelope and then the entire interior work, and we'll update this dashboard. So as you see on the budget here, we awarded the contract to Bright for the amount of 68,216,500, and that's including the alternate 1 through 4. So if you look at this, our original budget was 67,674,861. So what we did is we moved 241,638 from the construction contingency. And from Article 18 with the free cash, $300,000, what we did is we increased the project budget by $300,000 down here that you can see. So the entire project budget from 94,525,933 got increased by 300,000. And then right now where we're at is 94,825,933. This is our current budget. The cash flow over here we're right on. So in the next couple of months, you're going to see a big jump. This is where the bell curve is starting to begin. On this is the S chart, but it's going to start jumping because we're going to we have Bright Builder on board, and you're going to see a lot of work going on with the foundation, the site work, and the demolition. So that's all I have for the budget update. Next, I want to turn over and introduce the Brick Builder team. So this is the org chart that we have. I don't know is Kate Johnson on, or should I turn it over to TJ?
TJ, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, no problem. I'm not sure if Kate was able to make it, but so hello everybody. I'm TJ Dayhill with Bright Builders. I'll be the project executive for this job. And
Would you mind-
also,
TJ,
Sorry.
I apologize. I don't mean to interrupt you. Would you mind please turning your camera on so that people can see you and not just your name, if possible?
sure, we just have to find a spot that I can hide from my family.
That's okay. We understand. It's a virtual meeting. The image doesn't do you justice. Let's call it that.
Oh, I wonder what this image is. That's great.
There
Also
you go.
on the org chart, this is TJ here.
Okay, welcome.
How you doing, guys? So also on the line, so we have myself, we have Michael Brait, General Super. Mike works across all of our projects. He does a number of things. He's a founding member of the company. We have Kyle McKernan. Kyle will be the project manager for the job. And Nick Brait will be the General Super. Kyle and Nick will be your point people for all of the day-to-day activities going on. Rest of the org chart, I gotta blow up here, I'm sorry. Kelly Lapworth is office administration, so Kelly helps with processing invoices, processing recs, processing change orders, PCOs, that all of that. Steve Brait is procurement, so whereas we're at the front end of this project, Steve is assisting with buyout, procuring long lead items and assisting with that. He'll be less involved as the project moves on. Jason Hendy is our assistant project manager. I'm not sure if Jason had an opportunity to join us tonight. And I apologize, I skipped over Todd Bestick, our overall company controller, is involved in everything internally for us from financing perspective. And right now, I think we have Dan Perry listed as our assistant superintendent, but we're probably 2 or 3 weeks away from putting an assistant super on the project and might be swapping Dan out, but I will, I'll review that with the project team as we go. We'll run that by Tom and Andy and the crew. So that's us. I mean, I guess I think Mike's on, Kyle's on. I know Kyle and Nick are together. So if you guys take an opportunity, please introduce yourselves.
Well, welcome. Hello, everyone. This is Michael Brait. I don't have my video working, Vivian, so I apologize for that. I think Tom, we worked together with Tom before. We had successful projects in the past, and we're excited to be here. And I'll be on the job often to make sure that we head in the right direction.
Thank you. And as everyone is mentioning, Tom, it might not be familiar with all at the EFPBC that Tom Finnegan, who has joined us today, he's on as well. He and I work, as well as Andy and Mark, are a team from Hill International, but Tom from Hill will be our site manager and our day-to-day contact on site overseeing this project. Both he and I completed a project in Watertown with Brait Builders, so we're very familiar with them and are excited to have them on this project for the Winchester community.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
How you doing? I'm Nicholas Brait, site super. Excited to be here. I have just like Vivian said, we built a school in Watertown together, and I'm glad to be back on the team together.
Yeah.
Kyle McKernan, project manager.
Welcome. All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
So we had a line item for January and February activities, but I think you kind of nailed that together in your scope. Do you have anything else to add to that, Andy?
Yes, I do. Actually,
Okay.
we have here is the intent logistic plan. I'll turn it over to Nick and Kyle if you guys want to do a quick explanation of where the lay down area, where you guys working right now, and the kind of like the phasing plan. Just do a quick overview of this logistic plan, and then we can start talking a little bit about the 4-week look ahead as well. Just an overview so this committee know what's happening in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, so I just see the green line represents kind of erosion control and fence. We did make some field adjustments along the northwest parking lot due to some grading issues and some trees that were kind of dangerous. Once you take down all those trees, you have kind of a whole line of trees that are now unprotected and definitely could blow over onto that neighbor's house. So yeah, that fence kind of got moved out a little bit so that we can take the stumps out and in case we wanted to plant some trees there in the future. Then, not on here is some of the tree protection, but we'll be setting up snow fence this week to under the canopies of any trees that are being saved that are close to the fence line or within the fence line. Yeah, you see that yellow line, that's kind of our safe site access that we're opening up now. Got the existing water and sewer that's actually going through the new building that we have to install the new stuff, the new ones before we get that out of there. Contracted parking, our plan is to get this northwest parking lot, get the solar canopy piers in and the infiltration systems in by the spring so that when the plants open up, we can pave that and have nice area, clean parking. And yeah, if you kind of see the light colored section, that's the existing parking lot, and we're actually leaving that in place and sweeping it and as well as plowing it so that any construction traffic that does come onto the site will stay on clean pavement. That way that's kind of our way of limiting the any mud or anything that will leave the site. Eventually we'll have to put in that riprap construction entrance, but the plan is to kind of keep pavement down as long as possible. We got down on the bottom right side, we got our management parking and our construction trailers. We've got those up and running. Yeah, and like Andy said, we're looking to have the building down in 2 months, and we'll definitely open up a lot more real estate for lay down areas and stuff like that. Then if you look at the new building, we're looking to start the foundation on the northeast corner, work our way west, and then we'll jump back and do the interior piers, and then wrap right around. Any questions? I know there was we are going to make sure that pedestrians can kind of have a path from Pond Street to the field, and as well as over the bridge. So the fence guys put the fence up, the erosion control guys came in and kind of knocked it back. We'll be moving that back on Thursday and making sure that pedestrians can have a path to just walk along the fence and get to the field if they wanted to walk from Pond Brook Road over to Pond Street. And yeah, and then that's our field access. That's for the DPW. When the springtime comes, they can come in and drive down there and get onto the field to maintain it.
Okay, we have Chris with questions and then Peter Lawson.
Just a quick clarification, Nick, thank you for the overview. Can you go just with respect to that northwest parking lot? I want to be sure I heard you right. I think you said one of your first priorities would be to get the foundations in for the solar canopies. I think you said piers.
Yes.
Whether that's piers or footings, whatever we're doing there, you want to get that structure in. And then did you say your goal is to actually have maybe almost like a base coat in for the lot itself? Did you say you were trying to have the lot finished enough that it could be used at some point soon?
Yes, yeah, sometime in April. But
So
it does kind of, sorry to interrupt, but it does kind of depend on Eversource in our transformer.
Sure.
But at the very least, it'll be prepped for pavement, which is, just as good.
Not for contract.
Well,
Enough for us to not track mud out.
I was asking because that's a helpful clarification. I know because we do have some abutters that are just concerned about traffic and headlights and so forth, just given the comments we made at the opening of the meeting tonight. It's really obviously important for us to get a sense of how this parking lot is actually going to work on site. So if this is one of the first things we'll see sort of roughly built, that's really helpful because it suggests to me we might be able to start to address some of the landscape needs we have sooner rather than later. I mean, that nothing set in stone, but I was just pleased to hear that's going to be a priority for you, and it'd be great if we can get started down that path for the neighbors.
Absolutely, and we'll be putting in vision. One thing I did forget to mention is that we'll be putting in vision screen, basically from the field down around Pond Street and down Brantwood Road, wherever the neighbors, have visibility. So that will kind of protect from headlights and maybe see what happens.
Right.
Peter? You're on mute. Still
on
muted.
mute, Pete.
There you go.
Didn't want to unmute for me. Thanks. I'm Pete, the facility manager. I just was wondering, is there a project directory out yet? And with the upcoming weather, the windstorm and all that, do we have like a 24-hour contact for emergency purposes yet?
There's a sign posted on the front gate with my contact information, but we definitely have sent that out.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to share mine too with you. I'm just curious too when you'll have more site meetings when I can have access. I was just reading the last meeting minutes, but I wasn't there. Was that virtual? Was that on site? I assume it must have been project meeting was virtual.
No, we're having site meetings now on
You are?
Thursday. Yep.
Okay. Am I invited?
Of
course.
Pete, this is Vivian, and typically, if you would like, we'll share your contact information with Great Builders, and that way you'll each have each other's contact. You're more than welcome to join in on the weekly meetings, but just as for your information, Meg White from this committee and as part of the town representative attends, as well as Frank Hackett from the school administration side, or Andrew from
Yep.
the school
Yep,
administration.
they all come from different directions and we work together. I think I'm a
Absolutely,
quarter of that portion there, so.
absolutely.
Okay, and when are the meetings? When are they regularly?
Well,
Are
we'll,
they a
we'll
reoccurring?
share, they're a reoccurring meeting, and I'm happy to share it with you offline if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mark?
Just two quick questions. First question is, you mentioned the vision screen. I'm happy to hear that. When is that being installed?
Thursday after the snow melts.
So, okay, and second, so that parking lot, you're just gonna set it up with a binder course and then just park on the binder and then just wait to do finished paving until you're done?
Yes.
Is that the plan? Okay. Great. Thanks.
Okay, Geetha, question?
Yeah, hi Jay, I have a couple of questions. Maybe I can ask now or wait
Sure.
later, but all right, so if I may ask for the silt fence around the construction fence, I'm assuming there would be some kind of a maintenance program or something that would be maintained or changed if it had to be, that would be kept in schedule. Like, in other words, it's installed now, and what kind of what's the right word I'm looking for? Some the silt fence around the site, would it be like monitored, and if it had to be changed and relayed, because we have environmental resource areas surrounding the site, and I'm just wondering, would there be any kind of a maintenance program would be in place?
Yes, so Geetha, it's TJ. I'll speak for my team and for, I guess, Tom. So erosion control measures are a line item on our weekly meeting. So they're inspected daily by our site contractor, who's the installing entity. They maintain them throughout the project. So if we have to button up a silt sock or a silt fence or swap out a catch basin silt sock, we'll maintain those throughout the project. And per our SWIP reporting plan, you know, if we ever have a rain event of more, I forget what it is particularly, but if it's more than, you know, 1 inch or so of rain, then, you know, we'll document that particular incident with a SWIP report, which we'll upload on Procore for everybody to see. So erosion control measures are tracked and monitored constantly throughout the lifespan of the project.
Okay, definitely the documentation would go a long way in case we have to go and close the permit. Question 2, you know, the snow, do you guys expect the snow pile to be piled somewhere, and would it be made sure that it would be away, safe distance away from the resource areas? You know, when you plow the site, you know, are you going to pile it at a location that's all acceptable for with the permitting agencies?
Yeah,
I'm assuming the snow pile would have salt in it or whatnot. So when you make a snow pile, would it be sort of at a place it's piled away from the resource areas? Makes sense.
Yeah, we would manage that on site and pile it up, and if we had to, we'd haul it off on in a container of some sorts. But we would we'll plow the snow, pile it up to mitigate any disruption to our logistics plan or any impact to the surrounding SWIP plan.
Okay. The other question I have is, I guess I heard the site work is going to start. I guess I'm driving my question towards the site prep within the building footprint. Maybe this question would overlap with the hill, what they have in mind. What I'm looking for in the long run, I guess as a project, some sort of a key plan. I'm assuming that this site is going to have fill per se. So to start off on a good note, I guess there should be some key plan that every day we would know this is the area that was cut, and it was from the Hills perspective. They had, I'm assuming they were planning to have the geotechnical engineer on site blessing the subgrade and before the fill is brought back up. So something to stay on top of it, I'm assuming from day one, some kind of a key plan that marking the date and the elevation that was exposed to. So anytime we had to go back, we can sort of keep, you know, we can simply follow through and know right from the day one. Andy, do you know, can you fill this in when I'm trying to ask? So from the day one, I guess when the site work is starting, key plan itself, it was sort of like marching forward, the date, the elevation it was exposed to, right? And then it would, I'm assuming it'll turn into a field report from the owner's set.
Yes, Geeta, we have a meeting coming this Thursday with Weston Sampson, Niche, and the contractor to talk about this. And during the when they start, you know, taking any soil out, the geotechnical engineer will be on site and monitor all that, and they will have reports and stuff. Yes, I agree with you. And we're meeting this Thursday to plan all of that.
So the building corners and everything would be marked, you know, right from the get-go, right? Assuming, Andy, okay. And then something would be established from the building corner, the prep would go so many feet that's agreed upon, you know, from Charlie and so forth. And, you know, so from day one, keep track of, especially the building pad, we can go back and see it. So that's the one I wanted to emphasize. And hopefully once you get this talked about, maybe you can share back with us what you have in mind. But I hope that's what I wanted to iterate here. I guess that's all I have now for Jay.
Okay, thank you. Colleen, you had your hand up. Do you still have a question? There you go. Back up.
I do. Thank you.
Go
Hi,
ahead.
TJ and team. TJ, I think we've met before professionally a couple of years ago. Nice to have you guys on the team. So Mark, Scott, and myself are heads of the sustainability subcommittee. Mark is the chair and I'm the co-chair. And I just wondered if you've had any coordination yet with the lead consultant for the design team, and if you plan to have a kickoff meeting, and if you do, can we be invited?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll jump in and then Andy take over for me. So on our end, Colleen, we hire our own separate lead consultant for the project.
Oh,
That
okay.
so I mean he works through us, but he just helps us with making sure that like we are fulfilling all of all of our lead criteria associated with the construction aspect of that. We did
Okay.
talk about at our most recent meeting of scheduling a lead kickoff meeting with TAPA's consultant and getting the ball rolling on that. And I would say I can't understand why you guys wouldn't be able to come to that kickoff meeting, but our lead consultant that we hire is a gentleman named John Ambert. I don't know if you're familiar with him, just but he's done an outstanding job for us. For in terms of like tracking credits, tracking what we're aiming towards, tracking goals, filling out the online calculator for us, advising us and the team on potential shortcomings or areas to improve. So we are a little bit late to sign him up. I think we probably just got him under contract this week. So he might be a little bit behind in getting him caught up to speed on those things. But I would say in the next 2 weeks or so, we'd be ready for a lead kickoff meeting.
Great.
Yeah, we'll make sure to include you, Colleen and Todd, right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Richard, question?
Yes, Jay, I was wondering if it'd be appropriate at this time to just have a brief discussion or explanation as to the process that led to those trees, those extra trees outside of the scope of the original scope of work being taken down. Because I wasn't aware of that until reading the reports that you had sent out earlier today.
I think we're gonna hit that with Chris and TAPA on the next item. Is
Okay.
that correct, Chris?
Yeah, I just want to give Hill and Brait plenty of time to get through what else they have.
Yeah, it is on the agenda, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I have here next is the before we look ahead, Nick, if you want to just go quickly over it, then we can turn it over to talk about the trees.
Yeah. Selective site demolition, taking down fences and playgrounds and stuff is finished up today. Stumping and grubbing is complete. They are grinding stumps now into mulch. They're in a big pile over by the front parking lot here. That should be done by the middle of the week. Vision screen, like I said, is getting installed on Thursday. They did change the date on me, and with the snow, they had to push it out to Thursday. But they'll be here to put that in. Prepping site road just from one end to the other. That's complete today. With the snow, we won't be stripping or stockpiling the top soil just yet until probably Thursday. Give that snow some time to melt, so we're not mixing it all together. Site fill is actually, after going over this with some of the numbers with our site contractor, it's going to be more of a site grading. We'll see that they're definitely going to have some little bits of fill, but not as much as he thought. So it's relatively a balanced site. Abatement and building demolition scheduled and ongoing. Jay Reed, our site contractor, is going to be doing some investigative excavation to get a better idea of where the water lines are. We're looking at within the next 2 week or two to start prepping for the building pad in the north east and work our way west. And testing and inspections and administration. It's just some admin stuff. Like Andy said, we have our foundations and footings kickoff meeting on Thursday at 10:30, or a little bit after that.
Okay. Any questions for Nick? Nope.
How about any existing utilities to be abandoned? Anything that we need to be aware of? Just going across the side of the building pad.
Can you say that again, Geeta? I didn't hear
I
you.
was wondering whether there are any existing utilities that are there to be abandoned or removed or anything to stay on top of it. Is there like removal of existing utilities abandonment? I don't see a line item kind of here. Don't we have existing utilities going across the building pad and
Yeah, we have,
across the site maybe? No?
we have utilities here. They're definitely investigating what exists now. So yeah, there is a line item there for utilities. You know, we're on it.
Maybe Andy, have we received schedule of values from Break Construction? Just ask.
Yes, we've been,
Okay.
the main schedule value, we received that for the MSBA purpose, but they're sending us the schedule value. We've been reviewing them and send them back comment.
Okay.
Okay, Peter has a question for Nick, I assume?
Yeah, well, just a quick question. I see you start actual demo near the end of the month. When do you think that the building will actually be down by? Just curious, no reason in particular. But the school there, I want to get that picture of it down, you know?
Yeah, me too. We're planning on the end of February for it to be down.
Cool.
One thing I'd like to do is I reach out to the Brait team and maybe on the homepage on the project website, I'll put a new banner up there just with some key milestones. Obviously, people who live in the area will be interested in knowing when that kind of activity is starting. We don't have that up there yet. We do have an announcement that Brait's on board with a little information about them, but I think in the next week, I think you guys can expect to see some updates on the actual project website. It'll be short and sweet, but I'll try to keep that current given what's going on site.
Okay. Any other questions for Nick and his team? All right.
Can I maybe just, Jay, this is maybe
Yeah.
a good slide for me. I want to make a little public service announcement because I'm seeing that last line on this slide says submittals and RFIs. So I have created in the project drive a new folder called Construction Administration, so EFPBC members can access this. There's a subfolder that says submittal log reports, another one for RFI log reports, with the expectation that and we talked with Andy just briefly about this today, that I'm assuming the project team will sort of generate weekly RFI logs, submittal logs, and we don't need to see that kind of granular detail at the EFPBC level. However, we certainly are interested in understanding if we're having a backup in either of those. So Hill will either, export either like weekly reports into those folders that committee members are certainly welcome to look at if you'd like to, or alternatively, we've talked to Andy about perhaps coming up with just a monthly summary for us for our maybe at the beginning of the month as a part of the overall project scope and budget presentation, just to give us an idea about how we're looking. So I just wanted you guys to know that's been added to the project drive.
Okay.
So if I may ask quickly, I know at the beginning you guys said at the northwest corner, they're going after the solar canopy foundation. Is that what, Chris, you heard as well?
Say that again, Geeta.
At the beginning, you asked about the northwest corner. Are they going towards installing the canopy foundations on the northwest corner? Is that the intention that I heard? No, at the beginning of the introduction. Chris,
Yes.
did you hear? There's some interruption at the back.
Yeah, I had a lot of background noise. I had a hard time hearing.
Did you hear from them saying that the planning to install the canopy foundation at the northwest corner of the site? Is that correct? Did I understand it correctly?
In the parking.
So my then question, Chris, is like, do we have drawings in our package, or how do we planning on who is going to observe the canopy foundation subgrade and bless it?
I'm assuming that would be Tom.
Well,
Okay.
well, not exactly. So Yeah, I mean, Tom will be out. Tom's a great check. He's gonna make sure we're always doing the right thing, but so for any excavation and foundation work, and we'll go through this at our kickoff meeting next week, but we'll work with the TAPE group and their consultants and Hill and UTS to make sure that as we dig, right, step one is gonna be, we're gonna dig down to the appropriate subgrade elevation as indicated on the drawings, and then we're gonna be asking the geotech to witness that subgrade and confirm that that is in fact suitable soil. If it is not, we're going to follow the procedures and the specs, and we'll continue excavating and removing and tracking that unsuitable soil. And then once we get down to a bearing substrate that is acceptable by the geotech, we'll begin bringing in our approved structural fill to bring that back up to grade, establishing stone, establishing bottom of footing. And at the same time that's happening, right, we are UTS is there performing compaction tests to make sure that all that material is getting compacted appropriately. And once we've gotten up to grade, we'll start setting our formwork. We'll bring in our rebar. The rebar will get inspected. We'll pour our concrete. Concrete cylinders will be taken. Those will be tested at 7, 14, 28, whatever days it calls for in the spec to make sure that, we're truly following the controlled construction process, right? And the way that we've outlined it so far, and so far so good, based on our meetings with TAPE, that we don't want to wait for something to show up in a field report. If there's a deficiency that's found, let us know right away. We're going to fix it, and then we have processes and procedures in place that if there is a deficiency, we're tracking them, we're responding right away, we're closing those items so that they can always be tracked and looked back on. So from a standpoint of whether it's the canopies out in the parking lot or whether it's building foundation, those are that's kind of high level procedures and process that we'll be following. And like I said, we have a kickoff meeting this week, I believe, because we're going to get started pretty quickly here. So just kind of outline, go over all those things. But, fortunately, we're a benefit of our familiarity with Hill. And so far, TAPE has been great about just, being on board with everything on how we want to go and getting everybody ready to roll.
Thank you. I heard everything that I needed to hear. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Are we ready to move on to site clearing? Chris, you ready?
Sure. So I think Charlie may have some thoughts he can share about, next steps and how to engage with landscape on this. I'll try not to repeat too much, but Richard, to your question. So, I was out there on site after, a couple of days of clearing. It's always quite impressive, right? When a lot of trees come down, because it's a big change to the environment. It was, I think, in a subsequent day or two when I was back out on site, and there were some abutters that were out walking around taking pictures and so forth. And I had a chance to talk with some folks, and there was real concern that some mature eastern white pines there at the northwest corner had subsequently come down. My understanding, I was not involved in any of these conversations, so my understanding is that there was some communication with an abutter, had concern about these old trees that were remaining. And I think somebody from Brate did make the comment, eastern white pines, when they're left exposed, when you kind of lose the windbreak, there's the potential that one or all of them start coming down. I've had some experience with that on my own property. So my understanding is that an abutter reached out with some concern, and there was some conversation involving management about, the potential to remove those trees just as a risk mitigation exercise. I do believe it was all well intentioned. Unfortunately, it should have come to the committee, or at the very least, it could have come to committee leadership or to Frank. Anything on the site that's well outside the limit of work is really kind of under the control of the school committee. So could have been a communication with them as well. Again, even if the outcome didn't change, could have been an opportunity for people to understand and to have kind of a constructive conversation with the abutters. It's why I'm really happy tonight to hear that northwest corner may be a priority just from a schedule perspective, because the sooner we learn about how that parking lot really manifests itself, both in plan and in section, because I think we've heard from Meg recently, there may be some issues around topography down there in one corner of the site as well. That could affect the planting plan. I think we need to begin to visualize that and revisit it. But Jay, maybe could Charlie just say a couple of words about
Sure.
maybe next steps and engaging with landscape?
Yep, go right ahead, Charlie.
I don't have much to add. I mean, I think that our thought is to ask the landscape architect to go out to the site so they can see it in person and begin to make a judgment about the existing trees, which they're pretty good about, and whether they need any further protection or whether the grading plan is going to work with them. And then I think further, once we have a layout out there, they'll be able to start to think about a future landscape plan for the finished product. But all of that's going to take a little bit of time. None of it's going to happen instantaneously. But of course, we're probably talking about final landscaping in a year and a half. So I'm sure everybody's eager to see what the solution is, but it'll take its course. Also, the landscape architect's probably not going to go out there when there's snow on the ground. But anyway, we'll ask Warner Larson to get out there in the next week or so and begin to think about next steps relative to the design.
Okay.
And I would only add, Jay, that I really appreciate, I thought several abutters reached out to us very thoughtfully, over the summer with questions about site design, traffic, circulation, lighting, landscape, and so forth. And we worked hard, and Meg kind of helped us getting responses from management for stuff that fell outside of our wheelhouse. I think we need to just really make the pledge to work with those that are most directly impacted by this as we begin to come up with a new landscaping plan, to take all that into account.
Definitely.
That'd be my expectation that we do that.
Right. Thank you.
Richard, does that answer your questions? I think you're on mute.
Yeah, that answers. I just wanted to go through the process and how it was arrived at without notice coming to the committee. I mean, I can very much appreciate that the Eastern white pines that you were referring to, but they're not. Yeah,
I think that's what they were. I know I wasn't like that close. I think that maybe Bright knows, but I believe that's what they were.
Okay. I mean, I can appreciate that they're not very good standalone windbreaks by themselves and would exposed like that. There probably was a legitimate danger of them coming down on their own in a windstorm. So I can appreciate it. I just think there was something that maybe should have come to, as you said previously, to the entire committee, or at least to the leadership of the committee. And I don't know how far up the chain the decision went, but I think these are things that I'd like to see ahead of time.
Well, and I think EFPBC on other projects in the past has done it. We always follow open meeting law. That means we post 48 hours in advance, but we're actually allowed to break that from time to time when there's an emergency. And the committee has done that on some of our building projects when something comes up that the chair just didn't have notice on, and we need people's understanding or buy-in. So, if something ever again like this comes up and there's an urgent decision to be made, and it's appropriate that the committee be aware and give it its blessing, I hope that the full project team will aspire to do that and let leadership know so we can pull that off.
Yeah, I think that transparency in this project, any project the town undertakes, is important.
Yeah. Keith, do you have a question?
Yes, Jay and Chris, I have a question. I guess we were just talking about the trees. If I may add, if you just go to the site now, I guess when you walk around outside the construction fence, I'm not talking about the northwest, but just to the entrance, there are some trees left. I guess I'm asking the question when Charlie sent his team, are they also going to look at those trees outside the construction fence and assess what is left there? Are they healthy, or things of that nature along that? Because there are some dead ones out there too, and I was just wondering are they going to do good? Or if it's outside the construction fence, it doesn't come under this project? Or I was confused. So
Right, I mean, if it's well outside the construction fence, it's outside the
not
limit.
well outside, just outside.
Well, I guess that's a discussion about what the limit of work line is and
Okay,
and
'cause
what's
it
the
was like that-
responsibility of the contractor versus what is not the
Mhm.
responsibility of the contractor. And it may ultimately be that it's not really Brait's responsibility, it's something the town would take care of. But I don't, the landscape architect is absolutely happy to look at those topics and try to pass judgment on it, and we'll just have to figure it out. Again, those kind of decisions around pruning and maybe limited removals later can certainly follow. This is not an emergency right now. It's the kind of thing that may very well happen closer to the end of the project when everyone has a chance to actually see how things look. It's hard right now to imagine what the whole site's going to look like when it's kind of built out. So I think some of this stuff, probably a little bit of patience would be the right approach. But I think when they go out there, they'll look at everything.
Yeah.
to answer
Okay,
your question.
all right, thank you.
And Jay, can I just add that some residents of Brantwood Road who live right across from, I think, the kind of trees that Geetha is describing, they're outside the limit of work. Some of those are in pretty rough shape. Frank and I have had this conversation pretty recently. I mean, I would welcome to do just what Geetha and Charlie are suggesting, and which is to have Warner Larson come out and take a look. I mean, it may be right now outside the scope of work, but this project is going to have a big impact on these folks. And some of these trees are really, they're looking really rough. So
There's
if
a lot of fallen trees in there too. I was walking there
Yeah.
Saturday. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks like a forest, basically.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
trees
I
and- Yeah,
I
I
would
can tell you
welcome.
that the Conservation Commission will not allow you to remove those fallen trees, so.
oh,
Right,
okay.
that was going to be my other
Yeah.
comment. Careful
Yeah.
about assuming that we can do very much within the resource area, because
Right.
there's been a very specific tree count
Okay, good to
that's
know.
been already, it's on record. And yeah, I don't know that we're going to want to do a lot of improvements within the resource area.
Yeah, but Brantwood Road though is well, it's on the other side of the site where I don't think we have that issue. So, the abutters have sort of respectfully asked if that was something we could consider. It'd be nice if we could do that at some point.
We move on to the field bathrooms. Chris again?
Oh, yeah, let me pull up the email. Okay,
I mean, I was
so
okay with the fence and everything. I just, if we are going to put the shading or the screening around it, we got to make sure someone is locking it and unlocking it, because it's going to be becoming a hideout.
yeah. So I hope you guys can see this. I pulled this up real quick. I think
Yes.
we briefly mentioned this at the last meeting. So we for years that we have porta potties that kind of service the Lynch Fields from the Horn Pond Brook side. And that of course that's all good being redeveloped. And we don't really have ready truck access to a point where those would or could be. And so we realized pretty late in the process that we had just kind of forgotten about how we could accommodate them. This is an image of Ryan Connolly Park. This is the back of the new soccer facility behind Morocco off Cross Street. So what you're looking at is concrete pad, chain link fence, swinging gate. This was for about 2.5 years. This is where the porta potties were. When they built their indoor facility, they didn't need porta potties anymore. So now a dumpster lives here. But it was suggested to us by field management committee that this was a good approach, a good option for concrete pad. I'll share another image here. I'm just having a hard time doing it while I'm in the middle of Zoom. We've shared this with Charlie. So concrete pad, off of accessible asphalt driveway, some chain link and space for 2 porta potties, one of which needs to be accessible. And because we're trying to stay away from that resource area, Charlie had suggested to us, I think at the last meeting, that it would be best to look on the other side of the site, on the west side, kind of where that existing ramp is today. And he has a couple of ideas about how that might be accommodated. I'm just trying to see if I even have an image of that. I may. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull it up quickly enough, Charlie, but for you guys, I think are all pretty much aware. We've got a ramp there on the west side of the site that goes down to the fields, and we'll still have some ramp access with the new project. So Charlie, I think your idea is to kind of widen the ramp you're showing and come up with a pad down there, so that way trucks can get in and out.
Right. So
stay
hey,
away from her.
hey, Andy, how quick would it be to pull up the Brait logistics plan again? Because that's the site plan. Is that a terrible headache? If not, that would, yeah, the other, not that, yeah, we need to be down by the field though. There you go. Now just scroll down or pull down further, more. We want to see down there. Right, there you go. See that
Perfect.
field access, everybody? That's really the only good vehicular access point that's outside of the resource area where the grading will work to get a vehicle down there. And we're already proposing a paved, it's where the walkway is now, the kind of the gravel walk. And that's going to be a paved walkway. And probably the logical place to put this structure is probably right about where that blue arrow is, that you see there,
On the left, the one on the
right
left.
here. Can you see that orange box I just drew?
Yeah.
So right about there. And I think what we'd have to do is probably widen this walkway by 2 feet or something to make sure that that the right size truck can get down there. And I think a truck could easily, and it's right off of the rear access road, a truck can easily back right down there and service those. So that's probably the right place. We can't really get at the site from over here, A, because it's within the resource area, B, because the grading is no longer going to work for that old wood path, woods path that was there or is there. So we think that's the logical spot. So that's sort of the strategy. And again, it's early days yet, but I think the idea would be to do a sketch showing that based on what Chris showed for the photographs.
Okay, Mark, you have a question for Charlie or Chris?
Yeah, three questions. One, this is a project cost, or is this a town project? Two, if you widen the road and this is a more permanent solution, that path is going to stay wide, and will it become the regular path for access to that facility? And three, Jay already mentioned this, but security don't love the idea of portable toilets being inside a chain link enclosure when people can access around them and the enclosure has screening on it.
Well, 3 is an owner question. 2, I think, was, will this be the permanent access down to the fields? And yes, the intention always was that this was the permanent access down to the fields. It's already the plan already has a paved walkway. It's just making it wide enough that the larger truck could go down there. So I think it's a couple of feet additional asphalt. And the question of project cost versus town cost, I guess you all have to decide, but presumably it wouldn't be an unreasonable project cost if you wanted to do it that way. I think those were the questions. My memory is poor enough that there may have been more, but
Mark, can I say I'm not married to the screening and the chain link. You raised some good points on the security piece. The also at Ryan Connolly, that's like a painted chain link, and the paint comes off. My other comment on that is I've suggested there's nothing wrong with just Galby chain link, because then it's otherwise it's a maintenance headache. We needed to have provided a spot for portable toilets to begin with, and it's on us that we just sort of forgot to do that. I mean, they've been on the other side of the site for years. Trucks just drive in and out through the woods, and I had certainly forgotten about it, and it was something that came up at a field management committee meeting a couple of months ago. And I felt bad that we'd sort of neglected it. So I feel like it warrants a project cost to do it. But as Charlie said, the ramp's there. I mean, it just involves widening it a bit. You know, and if I can certainly go back to the rec director and ask if we even need the enclosure at all. Could we just simply do like a concrete pad for them? That would certainly be a little cheaper. But I think maybe the concern there is just, you know, after hours vandalism, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, my comment, I have no problem with a fence locking them up, you know, keeping the vandalism. I just don't want the screening.
Yeah.
So it's to hide behind it. But seeing through a chain link fence to protect them, I don't really see a problem, you know.
Okay.
Dan, Chris, may I ask you a question? So I'm asking the question about during construction, are we anticipating field access by the public? That's what I was confused. Or is this just talking about allowing DPW only during construction?
Not during construction, but Bray, hopefully they'll confirm this. I think Braid has been told we have to provide access to the fields from maintaining the fields, you know, cutting the grass, and in fact, field management. Their hope is that because these fields are not going to be used for youth sports, that when the project is done, these will be like the nicest grass fields we've had because they've had such a break. So they're very deep, field management's very intentional about actually getting there and doing some real maintenance work on these fields. So they'll be ready to go when the project is done. But Bray just needs to be able to allow the town to get some equipment in there from time to time.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, move on to playground equipment. Frank, do you want to put a rain check on this because Lisa's not on, or you still able to?
Yeah,
go?
I think so, Jay. There's no sense of urgency around this. I think it'll be better with Lisa here.
I think so too. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Hold for Lisa. Okay. Now we'll get into Lynch. So the snow guard update, which I think is good news for Meg.
Yeah, so those are installed. So it's all done. They were done over winter break.
Nice.
And Meg,
Yeah.
what was that final number? Like what I think we authorized a little extra to give you some margin. Or forgive me,
It's
management letter.
yeah, I think you authorized 35,000. It was less than that, so
Okay.
not by much, but yeah.
Okay.
How'd they work
It was
yesterday?
I have no idea.
Hey, Meg,
I'm-
can I interrupt real quick? Are we all set with the Bright Builder teams? I think they're still.
We are.
Yeah, we are. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Good night, bye, guys.
Okay, bye.
So yeah, those are in. I don't know if Peter's still on the call, but I know there were other items that Peter were interested in, but that is the only item that we were given permission to move forward with, and that's done now. We have been out to the site a couple times. The engineering department and DPW in response to water coming off the slope area behind the parking lot and coming across the parking lot. And in one instance, it's draining properly, but there was more water coming onto the parking lot than just from rain hitting it, and it did freeze. So there was some concern that would be an issue. So we have been out there to look at it a couple times. It's unclear where the water's coming from. We've had niche out there and engineering, like I said, and DPW. We have had an incredible amount of rain this year, and the issue is not the amount of rain that we've had, but the amount we've had in the very short durations that we've had. In two particular instances, one I think was in August and the other was like 2-3 weeks ago. And I suspect tomorrow night will be an issue as well. And then the other issue is that the water, there's just so much water coming down in such a short period of time, it's overwhelming the system. because it's just not designed for that. And there's water that's going down as well as mulch into the a butter, the neighbor's yard. So we're looking at those two issues. I'm not exactly sure what we can do in the winter, to remedy the situation, but we are aware of it. I'm sure Frank is well aware of it. But just, people are looking at it, and I suspect I'll hear something back from Michelle in the next week or two on some recommendations.
Meg, is the abutter that's impacted, is that the corner lot, the yellow house, or is it the next one up the hill?
No, it's on Gerard. It's the
Oh.
one.
Oh, so it's on that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going down that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's just a FYI. I don't know that we'll be able to come up with a solution. I mean, it is, you can't really design for these super storms we're getting.
Nope. All right, the light, I have no update on the lighting. Megan, has anyone? Nothing?
No, I couldn't bring myself to ask them this week. Given everything they're gonna have to deal with, so. But yeah, we'll hopefully get them to get up there and turn it if they can reach it.
Yep. Understood. Yeah, it's crazy around town. And
Yeah.
other Parkhurst business.
So Jay, have we, it looks like Pete's no longer with us on the call. Did we ever get the list from Pete for, additional work? We felt like we pushed on the snow guards because we knew that was on his list and that was really weather dependent. I don't know that we got that list from him.
I did not.
Okay. Nothing to talk about there then.
No.
He had to go to the select board. I'm following up with him later this week, so I can get it from him.
Yeah, I mean, I think his list were the items that were the alternates.
Right.
Guards were the most concerned.
Yeah. I mean, the snow guard is only one of the alternates, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Winchester High School gymnasium.
So this is a quick one. This is a very quick one. So we discussed the high school gym flooring and reconfiguration at our last EFPBC meeting. That was on a Monday night, and then the following night, CAPE was making the same presentation to the school committee. So they did. And I'll ask Frank to weigh in with his thoughts, but I thought it was a very, very thorough presentation. Our athletic director was there. He participated with Chris Blesson. We had community member there, Gary Grassi from Winchester Youth Basketball, had some helpful observations as well. And my takeaway from it, Frank, was that the committee is supportive of the recommendation for wood floor, and they're supportive of the halves and quarter configuration of the space, which unfortunately drives the more expensive cost. But I think it was a good presentation, and I don't think the committee really has any sort of doubts that the work is needed. Is that fair, Frank?
No, absolutely. I mean, they understand the work is needed. They understand. I felt that certainly the floor replacement has to happen, and I think the takeaway was that everybody understands that if you're going to do the floor, then you might as well do the whole thing, and if you're going to do the whole thing, you might as well do it right. So, I think the argument is compelling for the plan that was presented with the additional court space. I thought Cafe did an excellent job. Mark did a nice job. Maria, the athletic director, just kind of describing the challenges we currently face and how much better, substantively better this would be, not just for the athletic program at the high school.
Frank, you muted there. I think were you done?
No, I was done. Yeah, sorry.
And so as far as next steps go, the project needs funding. So this is on the radar of the select board. They're meeting tonight. So the select board has been working with the capital planning committee to identify priority projects that may require a debt exclusion override and or ARPA funding. That's actually why Pete is probably heading to the select board right now because they're going to talk about both tonight. The select board may be voting. I don't know, Meg, if you have any inside information, the board might actually be voting as early as tonight to put forward some support for an override in the spring. But if they do it, they've got to know what they're asking for in terms of, you know, the what and the how much. They have to know that by February. So this is a project that they're aware of, that they've been discussing. It's absolutely not it's not being discussed in terms of ARPA. That's other stuff, which is probably why Pete's over there tonight. So we're just kind of waiting to hear how that whole conversation goes. So TAP A did their work. I think we have a good proposal, and now we just got to figure out how to pay for it. But I would also just say that while I think there's some hope and confidence that the work could be done over a summer, you know, we don't really have construction documents right now. It's very, very high level conceptual work that TAPE has done. And so we're nowhere near a bid set. But Mark Aria did, you know, acknowledge to the school committee that when we were doing the high school renovation, they went the majority of the school year without a field house at all, because that was, you know, part of the construction project. So
Right.
if this has to happen, you know, if it takes half a summer and half a fall, so be it. You know, basketball involved. I mean, the good news is this would impact like our winter sports. So maybe that makes it more manageable. But anyway, we're just going to now kind of wait and see where this goes with the other projects that are being discussed by the select board. That's it.
Thank you. Any
Can I
questions?
ask a quick question?
Yes.
Sorry, I was at the last meeting, Chris and Jay, and the only question that I had is, I guess when TAPE was doing at the conceptual level, I guess with the reconfiguration, did they also have a structural engineer in board? Because the question I'm asking is, if the bleachers are going to change in direction, at least at a conceptual level, where do we stand? Do they feel that the structural capacity wise may not be a problem? Where I'm going with this is the loading, you know, bleachers are going to be in the other direction. Would that impact in terms of the structural capacity of the floor that's existing out there? That's a question.
So I don't think Charlie personally was that close to this. That was more Chris. So Charlie should weigh in if he knows otherwise. But you know, my understanding is that, you know, Chris took the drawings we have and the what sort of structure sections we have and reviewed that with his team. I don't know how much detail structural looked into that. In addition, Geeta, to just the loading itself, that there is a concept in which bleachers on one side of the room are actually driven across the room. So
Yeah.
that load, it's not static, it's actually moving across the floor. Of course, it's distributed over a large area as well. But I mean, TAPE would have to address your question specifically.
Yeah, and I can't, although my intuition is that if they work in one way, they're going to work in another way. In other words, a floor like that isn't so unique.
Right.
It's not so one-dimensional that it can only carry, it has no capacity in the other direction. Typically, it'll have capacity in both directions. So, but beyond that, I don't know. It would be hard for me to believe that changing the orientation would in any way compromise the performance of the structure. It just seems unlikely, but I don't know.
And I don't want to jinx myself, but I thought in that area we actually have waffle slab, and if we do, then there you go. But
then it's acting in all kinds of directions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where I'm going with this is, how do we feel about the cost estimate that we have? That's why I was asking the question, at least at a conceptual level. So construction costs.
I think it's pretty detailed.
Yeah,
Okay.
we came back with some revisions and
Okay.
they went back and added some items.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm pretty good. I'm okay with the revised.
It also always has a lot to do with when the work actually gets bid and constructed, because as we all know, costs change annually. So, well, an estimate is it gets less and less accurate the longer it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? We'll move on. Okay, payments and authorizations. Meg, you're up.
Okay, I think you all have a copy, so they're just payments for the Lynch project. The first is Bright Builders for their application number 1 in the amount of $821,763.30. Then we have Tape's monthly invoice for $164,363.17. Hill's monthly invoice for $56,900. We have a Daily Times Chronicle invoice for the additional Conservation Commission meeting for the pedestrian bridge for $191.75. Harbor, there's 2 invoices for Harbor Networks, their monthly invoices, each at $431.60. And then a Rico invoice for relocating the equipment at $614.25. And that is it.
Okay. Anyone want to make a motion?
I'm happy to make a motion to approve payment to Bright Builders, Tape Architects, Hill International, the Daily Times Chronicle, Harbor Networks, and Rico in the amounts presented by Meg this evening.
Second, Don.
Done, thank you. All right, we'll get our roll call. Frank?
Aye.
Okay, Brian?
Yes.
Todd?
Aye.
Keitha?
Aye.
Okay, John?
Aye.
Colleen?
Aye.
Mark? Ron? Richard, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, Emily?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Emily. All right, everyone's in favor, that passed. We'll get that, I'll get that over to you, Meg, tonight. Next meeting dates, we have January 22nd and then February 5th. Right now, scheduled, we have the vacations coming up and such. We will try to get to limit Hill and other people being on. We'll try to get the Lynch School to 1 night a month and then do our other business on the second night, whatever we can. There'll probably be payments on both nights or whatever. But we need to, that way we don't have everyone from Hill hanging around as we're going through this and as we get more information coming. So hopefully it can work out in the next few months to get it going like that.
And our hope, I think, right, Jay, is that we'll try to have that be the first meeting of the month, which
Right.
seems to be less impacted by all the many holidays that are out there.
Exactly.
Yep, that would be appreciated and we thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or anything? Okay.
We adjourn then.
Thank you, Don. Second, Mark?
Yep.
Thank you, Mark. All right. Motion, Frank?
Aye.
Brian?
Yes.
Todd?
Aye.
Etha?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Colleen?
Aye.
Chris?
Bye.
Mark, Richard?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
you.
See you on the
New Year.
22nd.
Happy New Year.
Thank
Happy
you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.